Hello there everybody and welcome back to A.O.DTV, and my name is Samuel Dewar, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today we're going to take an artist, Kings of Leon today, we're going to grab all their albums, we're going to jumble them all up, and we're going to rate them from worst to best. Let's do it. Number 7, Walls. Believe it or not, this is the only KOL album to make it to number 1 on the US album chart. However, this doesn't ring true in the UK, because over here they have had 5 straight number 1 albums that started in 2007 with Because of the Times. Walls is also an acronym for We Are Like Love Songs, continuing the 5-syllable rule the band have used with all their albums. This album does have a couple of high points, with the singles Waste a Moment and Reverend. And perhaps I should throw in Find Me and Walls, which are also decent listens. Considering it is KOL's shortest album, it probably has the highest amount of average tracks on the album, therefore this has to be my least favourite. Number 6, Youth and Young Manhood. It's back in 2003 that Kings of Leon didn't have any fans, and they didn't have any fans in the native country, the United States. However, in the UK, we all flocked to see the Tennessee natives. Great tracks in Youth and Young Manhood include their first ever single Molly's Chamber, California Waiting and Red Morning Light. It's a shame that Wicker Chair from the Holy Roller Novocaine EP didn't make it to this album, because it would have been a great addition. Finally, if you're a fan of this raw and young era of KOL, then be sure to check out their gig at the London Astoria back in 2003. Number 5, A.O.D. Shake Heartbreak. 2 years after the debut of their first LP, KOL were back at it with Youth and Young Manhood, and were starting to develop the sound and flavour lots of us would ultimately come to love. Although still sounding very youthful and raw, it's clear to see the band finding their feet as musicians, and more noticeably, Caleb figuratively unravelling his vocal cords. Great songs in this album have now become Kings of Leon classics and staples of their live set, like The Bucket and 4 Kicks. Elsewhere on the album you can find great tracks like King of the Rodeo, Milk and Taper G Girl, which are just a few of my own personal favourites. Number 4, Come Around Sundown. Being released in late 2010, coming off the back of Only by the Night, the weight of expectation on the band to produce another timeless classic was never going to be easy. Regardless, this album has a plethora of great material. The singles Pyro, Radioactive and Back Down South are among the few. However, there are some great album tracks such as Pony, which is a great bassline by Jared, and Beachside, which genuinely makes me feel like I'm on a Canary Island sipping on a Blue Lagoon. On top of this, Mi Amigo and particularly Pickup Trucks at the back end of the album should not be missed. Number 3, Mechanical Bull. Mechanical Bull was released in 2013, and to this day I think it's a great follow-up to Come Around Sundown and another solid record. If you want more traditional fast-paced Kings of Leon, you can have it with songs such as Super Soaker and Don't Matter, with the latter feeling like a callback to some of their early work. On the other hand, if you want the slower-paced anthems, there are numerous. The singles Beautiful War and Wait For Me are passionate and anthemic, and album tracks Tonight and Comeback Story should also fill your yearning for the slower and minor side of Kings of Leon. On top of this, you can fill your boots with their groovy classic, Family Tree. Number 2, Because of the Times. After much deliberation and perhaps a controversial choice, 2007's Because of the Times has taken second place. Now many do say this is peak Kings of Leon and everything after this record was downhill, but not for me. Anyway, this record has a bunch of great singles such as Charmer, Encore and Fans, which are still staples of their live set to this day. On top of this, there are great songs like Mick Fearless and Black Thumbnail, which encapsulate Kings of Leon's searing energy flawlessly. And just like any other Kings of Leon album, there are some great slower tracks on this record, such as The Runner and True Love Way. My personal favourite on this record is Arizona. The riff that Matthew plays in the intro just never fails to please my ears. Number 1, Only by the Night. And sitting at the top of Mount Rushmore for me is 2008's Only by the Night. It may be cliche, it may be obvious, but I don't even feel it needs justification. The album is pretty much flawless from start to finish. The album opens with the song Closer, and Jared's octaval bass and Nathan's great drums are a great way to introduce the album. The classic singles Use Somebody and Sex and Fire are still getting lots of radio airplay to this day, and the latter is still an absolute party banger and is a people pleaser when it comes on. Furthermore, singles Notion, Revelry and Crawl are also brilliant, with Revelry standing out the most with its more stripped back, vocal led nature. The bass riff in the chorus is also genius. I could talk individually about all the great songs in this record, but just to finally finish my point with my personal favourites, Manhattan, Be Somebody and Cold Desert. Cold Desert, the final track on the album, story has it that Caleb was so drunk that one night he sang this song and he didn't even realise until a few weeks later when they re-listened and decided to keep the original take.